Good morning. We gather here today to commemorate the nearly 1.3 million Americans who have given their lives in the service of our nation. As many of you may have noticed, I'm not like the other speakers you'll see here today. I'm not a veteran, I'm not an elected official. Quite frankly, I'm someone who isn't a somebody. Now, because of that, some of you may be wondering why an average college student, 20 years old, would be speaking here today. And the answer to your question is that I'm here to say thank you. As a kid, I knew that Memorial Day was the last Monday of May, and that we got to get out of class early the day before a long weekend to attend a ceremony where people talked, classes sang, and someone with a trumpet played a short song. However, as I grew older, Memorial Day quickly began to change in its meaning. No longer was Memorial Day an excuse to get out of class early to attend a ceremony or to get a day off from school. Rather, Memorial Day became a day to say thank you to those who had the courage and bravery to put on the uniform, place their life on the line, and are no longer with us today. And for this, I've come to say thank you. We gather to say thank you to those who gave their lives in the service of our nation. Those like First Sergeant Edward Brown of the Marine Corps, Technical Sergeant Donald Foster of the Air Force, or Private First Class Lionel LeBlanc of the United States Army, all of whom left the city of Gardner for the cause of freedom and gave their lives before the age of 23. We come to say thank you to those who were blessed to be able to return home from their service, but who are no longer with us today. Those like Airman First Class Roger Slats Gogan of the United States Air Force, or my grandfather, Sergeant Michael William Nicholson, United States Army. We come to say thank you to those who have served and are currently serving who have joined us here today, the veterans marching in this parade, the members of the American Legion, VFW, and all those assembled here. We thank you, too, to those like Rebecca Dorval, who are serving currently and who are unable to be with us today. Rebecca Dorval just last year marched in this parade as drum major of the Wildcat Marching Band and is currently stationed at Shaw Air Force Base in South Carolina as a member of the United States Air Force. All those who I just mentioned were and are members of our community, Gardnerites, who answered the call of service to ensure the blessings of peace and freedom on our community. We as a city have always rallied behind each other in times of happiness and sadness, of celebration and remembrance. Today we gather as a community to pay tribute to those who have left us and to thank those still with us. President Kennedy once said, "As we express gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to merely utter words, but to live by them. Never forget the opportunities available to us thanks to the work of our veterans, and never cease to take the opportunity to thank them for their service that far too often goes taken for granted." Many of the things that the people of my generation do on a regular basis are available to us thanks to the service and sacrifice of our brave men and women in uniform. I challenge you today to see if you can think of ways your life has been impacted thanks to the work of our veterans. We live in a democratic republic where we elect officials rather than live under the oppressive rule of a dictator. We attend school where we learn the subjects of math, science, English, music, and the story of our history, rather than the fabricated stories of a regime. We hold devices in our pockets that give us instant access to an immeasurable amount of information at any moment of the day or night. We live with the sacred and secured freedoms of freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom from want, and freedom from fear. In many places around the globe, that cannot be said. Our men and women in uniform had donated a portion or the untimely remainder of their lives to protect, earn, and defend these rights for our country. Today, we find ourselves at a very unique point in time. 2 years ago, we paid tribute to the 60th anniversary of the Korean War. This year, we mark the 70th anniversary of the end of World War II, while we are still in the midst of the commemoration of the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War. This year also marks the 150th anniversary of the end of the Civil War, and today we mark the 150th Decoration Day, the day that would soon be changed to be known as Memorial Day. Last year, our nation celebrated the 200th anniversary of the penning of our national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner. The flag that it honors, that Star-Spangled Banner that flies here today, stands as tribute to the service of our veterans. Having crossed the waters of the Delaware, given proof through the night over the walls of Fort McHenry, been raised over the volcanic hills of Iwo Jima, and flown over the desert sands of the Middle East, this flag has become a testament to the bravery, courage, and sacrifice of those in our armed services. Then, To give its final honor to those who have fallen in its service, it adorns the caskets and final resting places of those who have answered the last roll call. Now, here today with that same flag in our sight, we gather to renew our commitment to forever honor those who gave their lives, comfort their loved ones, to welcome and aid those who return, and to forever thank all those who put on the uniform in the service of our nation. I want to leave you with the words of a poem by Benjamin Parker entitled "The Soldier I Never Knew." I never heard his voice or shook his sturdy hand. He didn't know my name, but for me he made that stand. Alone he made the choice to rise above the crowd, to serve his God and country and make his nation proud. For me, this unknown soldier joined those who came before, to leave his home and country and march and fight in war. He never asked if he should go, I never told him stay. He did not write me letters, for him I did not pray. I never knew his story, it is not mine to share. That didn't matter to him, he served without a care. Now his sacrifice is known, I know his face and name. His honor and his courage now puts my own to shame. He served and died for those he knew and those he never would. He did what he was called to do and did the best he could. A soldier that I never knew is being laid to rest. He never knew who I was, but for me, he gave his best. A hero is that someone who does more than he needs to do. For me, among those heroes, is that soldier I never knew. The 15th chapter of the Gospel of John states this: Amen, I say to you, there is no greater love than this, to lay down one's life for one's friend. Those who we remember here today have lived up to this call. They have laid down their lives in the service of freedom for you, for me, for those of the past, and those yet to come. I'm here today as a member of the Sons of the American Legion. This organization, made up of the sons and the grandsons of veterans who served during times of conflict, works to honor the service of those who serve, support those who aid, help their families, help those who cope with the unseen wounds of war, and continually honor and commemorate the sacrifice of the fallen. This is a task that can be taken up by all those here, not just the members of the Sons organization. As we leave the steps of City Hall today and march on to Lafayette Square and Monument Park, let us do so with remembrance and with pride. Here in the city that we call home, let us never forget the price of the freedom that we enjoy. May we, who live in the land of the free, always and forever pay tribute to the sacrifice of the brave. May those who have gone before us for the price of freedom now rest in the peace that they secured for our nation. And may God continue to bless our city and these great and free United States. Thank you very much.